Today we're going to answer an infamous question. The question that comes through my inbox often is, so how much can I make from this property sourcing thing, Jen? And I smile because the answer is not as straightforward. And in today's video, I'm going to share with you 3 ways to get to your actual answer. And I would love to hear from you in the comments if any of these strategies or these ways of getting your sourcing fee make some sense to you. Welcome to my channel. My name is Genevieve Stafford Jack. To getting into it, the first approach, I'd learned this in the classroom, right? 10 to 15% of the offer price. What is the offer price? The offer price is what has been negotiated for that particular property. So if that property, the investor or the future landlord of that property is willing to pay $500,000, if that is the offer price, then it's 10 to 15% of that. So let's just work on 10%, right? That is $50,000 for that particular property investing opportunity. But I always question, let's take the bigger picture into consideration. Is $50,000 a fair amount to charge a real estate investor, a property investor, for finding him or her the opportunity, putting all your research and due diligence on a proposal and selling them the concept of that? Is it worth $50,000? So you ask yourself, have I done enough? If you've ticked off all these boxes for argument's sake, then look at the profit. When I look at the profit, if this particular investor is going to be earning less than me, who sourced the deal, then I question, is it viable or not? So I usually had this twitch when it came to that 10 to 15% of the purchase price. Now, let's quickly go on to the second method, right? Method number 2 says 10 to 15% of the profit. So what if the profit is 100,000? So I'm potentially going to get 10,000 of that 100,000. Again, I'd like you to ask the question, all the groundwork that you've done, going up and down to the property and making sure that your due diligence and your proposal is in order, your relationship with that particular property practitioner, now that the act is like there to stay, what does that look like? Does that look like a 10,000? Especially if you're beginning, I believe that can be a fair trade-off. However, I must admit to you that when I started in property sourcing, I kind of gravitated to this time/effort, right? And here's what I mean. Again, we're going to take off round numbers so that we can actually do this calculation and make it make sense. The round number I would like to say is, in terms of time and effort, if I'm in the working place and on an hourly basis, I earn 100 Rand, right? That is what my employer pays me for tasks on an hourly basis. Now, when I look back at the deal, how much effort have I put into the deal? I've gone to view the property, I've gone home, I've run the numbers, I've gone back with the builder, I've run the numbers, I've done my due diligence, I've sat down at my laptop, I've worked out calculations, I've done everything that I need to do to package this deal, right? And then I found the investor, had a conversation with the investor, created a relationship or whatever the case is, and then proposed this deal, gone back to this property, viewed it with the investor signed the offer to purchase. Do you see what I mean by effort? Have I done a lot of these different tasks? And when I look back at it, have I spent the last 15 hours, right, over a number of days doing these different tasks? So for argument's sake, yes, tick, I've spent 15 hours. So is it 100 Rand over 15 hours? Let's just take a step back quickly. Think about when you're in the working environment. There's time and a half and there's double time, right? So if it's a Saturday, there's time and a half. Of my 15 hours, how much was time and a half? Of my 15 hours, how much was double time? So I'd take all of these different amounts, right? This is what we did in the beginning because we felt like, does it make sense? And then we said, because we've now invested in the education, can we then plus 7,000, for example, or 5,000 or 10,000 onto this time and effort fee? How best are we paying back the money of what we invested into our education? And that's where my husband and I thought, well, this kind of feels right. So some deals have actually come up to 13,750. Why? Because of time and effort plus education that we actually got to present ourselves, to learn how to negotiate, to learn how to understand, to listen to the investor's requirements, and quite a few things down the line. So I'm wondering, where you sitting right now? What does it look like to you? I would love to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these methods makes sense to you? Which one would you use? But ultimately, which one would you like to reinvent? Because to every person, it is different. I remember going to as far as 50,000 for one of the deals because I had taken not one, not two, not three, but 7 different investors to this investing opportunity because some of the investors felt like, too distressed. I don't know what else I'm going to find here. And then when the investor got there, they're like, I'm uncertain. Right now, I've just committed myself to whatever. Then part of me felt like, why did you come here if you overcommitted? But that was me just being cheeky. Okay. And then there were some investors that had come through and their appetite for the renovation was not quite them. They were okay with the fact that it was distressed, but for such a big project, they were like, And then there were some investors that were like 800 plus equity, I am in. And then their financing didn't work out. So there was a number of different things, which is why I landed up taking 7 different investors, right? And in my world, because they were getting 800 plus equity and there was quite a few good pluses, they had approach to 4 different strategies for that particular deal. I felt my time and effort quantified that 50,000. I wonder again, what does it look like to you? And where you sitting, are you asking yourself, is it worth getting into property sourcing? I want to say to you, first do the groundwork of actually understanding what property investing is about, right? So that you can then understand where property sourcing fits in. So I've done almost 10 hours of content over 4 days where I teach you how to get started in property investing and how property sourcing actually fits into this. This education is entirely free. It's right here on YouTube. I'm going to put a playlist up here so that you can go straight from this video into that playlist. Why would I want to do that? Because oftentimes people get into something new and then they get burnt not actually understanding the foundation. So will I see you for free in this playlist right here on YouTube so that you can actually understand what goes into property investing and how property sourcing fits into it and how eventually you can make a side hustle of property sourcing